This is a little Night Fury that I got from when I went to an anime convention in Liberty City, New York last year. I think that I show it to you when uh, when I when I made my video when I of me going to Liberty City Con. I bought it, and I gotta say that it's one of my favorite little toys that I got around here. Mostly because it is a cute little baby dragon, and I like how the girl who sold it told me that this is a that according to the symbol that it has here, this little dragon is kind of like a symbol of wisdom. I know it's kind of like this fortune teller stuff, but well, I think it is. I think that this is a good way to make this kind of like an opening to the latest movie that I just saw, which is not other than How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, the third movie of the Dreamworks series of How to Train Your Dragon. Um, man, that I have to say this, and I want to admit that while I have kind of like this mixed bag of DreamWorks movies, I will never deny that probably my favorite franchise that came out from DreamWorks is the Dragons. The How to Train Your Dragon franchise is my favorite of all the DreamWorks movies, because this is technically a little bit kind of one of the rare and unique species of all the kind of the typical norm of DreamWorks films. Because when you see a lot of majority of DreamWorks movies, it usually it has to deal with cartoonish some cartoonish tones or pop music, raunchy humor. It has a lot of the wacky doodle stuff that they only do it to say, yeah, let's make this appeal to the common demographic for children. One of the bad examples I will say this are between The Boss Baby or Kung Fu Panda. And I will say then that I'm in the minority saying that I do have a hate to Kung Fu Panda. But the only movie franchise that is kind of close to something similar to Disney is the How to Train Your Dragon series. Especially when the first movie, one of the directors was none other than Chris Sanders, and most of the science was also made from Chris Sanders, and the idea was also from Chris Sanders. And as you don't know, Chris Sanders was an ex-director from Disney. He also makes some cartoons, and he's mostly well known for the creation of Lilo and Stitch, which is also one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. And well, the other reason is also one of my favorite franchises is because they're dragons. I think that during the span of making videos, I really expressed my fascination to dragons, that how much I absolutely love dragons, to the point that even exaggeratedly I say that if there's a chance that I can marry one, I will do it. I don't care what the rules of society, but I want to do it. And watching this film, it kind of made me realize how much I really love the franchise. Despite that, I feel a little bit guilty to not being kind of like a 100% loyalist to it. Okay, let me go a little bit of my journey of the franchise. At least. The first movie, I was quite enamored. I really liked the Black Dragon, Toothless was his name. And I was very curious of the film, and so much that I just came out loving this film. Then came out the TV series that's gonna take events before the second movie. I did marathon it before watching the second movie. And from this point, I only saw the 2 seasons of the TV series. Not because I didn't want to watch the other ones. It's that I didn't have time and I didn't have Netflix. I think I remember that the first two seasons came out on Cartoon Network, and that was the thing that I had available. Um, well, I saw then the second movie. And honestly, the second movie has a little bit of a sentimental value to me. Not because the movie is bad, because it's great. I love both the first and second movies. But it's kind of heartbreaking because a little bit of a personal story is that when I was studying in Canada, there was this college of mine that though we didn't talk too much. She was kind of well known. Yeah, it was a sure. Let's say about that. I do remember that she did give me at least once a kind of like a pep talk to encourage me because I was struggling too much with my 2D animation because of my inexperience. Um, and I do remember that she was technically a big fan of How to Train Your Dragon. I do remember that I had her in Facebook, and all the time she was talking about how eager she was for watching that film. But then 1 month before the How to Train Your Dragon 2 came out, I got the shocking news that she died from heart problems. And man, during this whole moment, I was seeing her community of friends and families all crying, and so much that they even decide that they're gonna go watch the movie on her behalf. So technically, I felt that it kind of made me feel that and gave me a lesson of how being a fan of a franchise can unite kind of like a good couple of people in order to remember a loved one. And this experience will be forever encased into my heart. So much that I remember that the next year on the Oscars, I was so pissed when Big Hero 6 won the Oscars. When Big Hero 6, I don't think it deserved the Oscar. It wasn't actually a good movie. Big Hero 6 has a terrible ending that I freaking hated it. I'm not saying that Big Hero 6 is bad. It's just that it had a bad ending. And it's not as emotionally impactful as How to Train Your Dragon 2. But maybe now it is because of the Stan Lee cameo at the end. So, at this point, I'm still a fan of How to Train Your Dragon. So much that I even have the poster of the original movie over there, signed by 3 of the art directors who were on a premiere when I went to Vancouver. Well, I can't show it right now. Maybe I'll show it when this review is finished. But anyway, now we're here. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, the epic finale of the franchise. Alright, in summary for all the people who doesn't know the franchise. Basically, the How to Train Your Dragon series is it takes place on a fictional Viking setting in which Vikings are Vikings who live in a small town. Well, a town called Berg. They always had to they had problems facing dragons. They hunt the dragons and all this stuff until the meekest and the wimpiest of all the Vikings, a boy named Hiccup, he decides to interact with the dragons. So he bonds with a black dragon called from the species that they call the Night Furies. He called it Toothless because when this dragon is not attacking or eating, he has retractable teeth. And well, they form a bond so much that he could fly it. And over the course of the movies, you see his relationship with the chief, who was his father. There's also how he managed to tame the dragons and make the community bond with the dragons. So he kind of becomes like a little bit of a scholar of studying dragons and how they can use dragons for their advantage and bond friendships. All of this. The second, that kind of continues also during the TV series, in which it not only expands that universe but also gives room to know the other character, which I kind of admit that in the movies, Hiccup's friends, they're not exactly that well developed. They're just kind of there, but that's a good thing that the TV series does that. And then we got the second movie, which now the characters are grow older, and if you want me to be a little bit revealish, I'll say that it ends up with Hiccup's father being killed, but they find his mother, and now Hiccup becomes the new chief. Toothless becomes the new alpha of the dragons. And, well, that's where it left off. I do understand that the other seasons of How to Train Your Dragon series, the ones that came out in Netflix, it doesn't follow the aftermath of the second movie. It just everything is kind of in between the first and the second movie. And if you ask me, no, I haven't read the books. But now we got the third movie, which again is the culmination of all these, in which we follow that now Hiccup is the elder. Now the whole town of Berg is very full of dragons, and because they go to raid the hunters so they can free the dragons. But unfortunately, while this is a noble cause, the problem arises with that there's so many dragons in the town. Looking very jolly, it's kind of like looking like paradise. It's still a problem with the overpopulation, because not only is because you have to deal with so many dragons, but the problem is that that with so many dragons, the town is gonna become an easy target. So it's kind of like the biggest solution that Hiccup has is that they have to go to apparently a world kind of like in the end in the end of the world, which they say that is the net where many dragons live. It is known as the hidden world. So technically now they have to move, but at the same time, let's say that so many things happen in this movie that kind of connect into each other. Let's see some kind of like a checklist. Number one, in this case, now Hiccup is trying to Hiccup is now into a dilemma if he wants to push his relationship with his girlfriend Astrid further, because now he's being pressured that now it's time to get married. Which, to be fair, they are a cute couple, I gotta admit, and during the course of the series, they do have a chemistry, a better chemistry than Alita and Mortal Engines. There's also the side of our antagonist, which are the Dragon Killers, in which they manage to hire this dragon killer named Grimo, who, man, I gotta go with that guy. I'll get to that. But the thing is that this guy, he is the guy responsible for killing all the Night Furies, and this is why they're on the border of extinction. And also there's a subplot that it also becomes a little bit of the heart of the movie, which Toothless, he finally found someone his mate, let's say. He finds kind of someone like him, but there's a white dragon who, let's say that it's kind of like his opposite, a light fury. And, well, Toothless falls in love with her. He wants to be with her, which kind of gives a little bit between, now the relationship becomes a little bit torn between spending time with her or with Hiccup. but mostly Hiccup is kind of hesitant to let Toothless go. Because in this case, well, Hiccup feels that he's nothing if he's without Toothless. And also, it doesn't help that the Light Fury, well, let's say that she doesn't like Hiccup. She doesn't like him. There are a few instances that she tries to kill him. But that is the crux of that. But I was saying, but with all of these things in mind, I never told you what do I think about this movie. Well, here's the thing. I'm kind of pissed off that many reviewers, even the professional ones, are trying to diss this movie, saying that it's okay, I didn't like it. It's funny that during this month, I felt like I was being a contrarian to many people. I'm one of the few guys who actually don't like Alita. I don't like Alita Battle Angel. I don't like Mortal Engines, and I think there was another, I don't remember what other movie came out that many people like, but I don't like. But this time, I just one of the few people in the world that I gotta say that I really love this movie. I love How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. I'll actually going as far to saying that it's one of my top 10 best movies of the year as far as animation go. And I don't care many of the flaws that has and how many people think that it's kind of generic or something like that. I felt like I am on the minority on this one. I will say that I do love this movie, and it further proves to me why the Dragon series is probably what should be considered the most respectable of all the Dreamworks series. And let's say that's a little bit biased with me with my infatuation with dragons. I'm kind of like a modern Hiccup, let's say, because I really like some of the dialogue. I really like a little bit of the innocent humor that it feels like sometimes it tries too hard, but it's lighthearted enough to that you can show that it tries to not being desperate, like movies like The Boss Baby do, in which they go into innuendos or too much gross humor. The least of the gross humor you're gonna find is Dragon Saliva, but this is kind of mild. But I do get a chuckle a lot with the character of Goldberg, played by Craig Ferguson, because he had this funny arc in which he finds this toady like dragon, and he's like, oh my god, this guy, we have to get rid of that dragon because this dragon is a bad omen. And he's like, nah, he's not gonna be he's not a bad omen. but this dragon just follows him everywhere, and every scene he just appears, it just multiplies like gremlins. And yeah, it does make the payoff in the end. I must admit that I did watch the review of the Cinema Snob / Brad Jones, and I know that Brad Jones was kind of had a distaste of the twins, or Rough Nut and Tough Nut. But honestly, I disagree, because it helped me. It's because I did watch the TV series at least, and I do feel like they are funny in its own way. They're not degrading, I would say. I know that they're supposed to be like dumb knucklehead twins, but I think that's the charm of it. I mean, no one talks shit about Phil and Lil disgusting habits from Rugrats, and I'm one of the guys who doesn't like Rugrats. First of all, I kind of like that there is this running gag that Tough Nut, he just has this he just has his long braids of hair, and he just he just tied it up and he just pretend that he has a beard and he's so proud of it. And there was this scene. There was this scene that probably might people might get frustrated, in which Rustnut gets captured by the villains, and she just pesters him. She just pesters him so she can they let her go. I know that it's part of the villain plan, but I don't know. I kind of gave a chuckle out of it. And by the way, is it me or Rustnut? For some reason, Rustnut, for some reason, she kind of reminded me of a blonde Viking version of Obscurus Lupa. Okay, what are some other oddities that I find in this movie? Fish legs. He's there. He now has a little bit of facial hair, but there's a running gag that he's now protecting the baby dragon with a baby dragon, which is apparently the daughter of his main dragon. There is not Loud, the loud, well, quote unquote bully of the team. Well, let's say that his arc is a little bit creepy, let's say. Because for the most of the movie, he's kind of finds approval and tries to hit on Hiccup's mother. I'm not gonna go so much into details with that. But one thing that I do have to say is that many people might complain about the genericness of the villains on How to Train Your Dragon. Although I do say that even the most generic of all the villains, when done well, they're done well. Because trust me that generic that villains are, sometimes I do have the firm belief that we can have real people like that who are generically evil, even if their motivations are as simple as best. Our main villain in this case, like I said, is Grimmel. He's voiced by F. Murray Abraham. And this guy, I do have to agree with many people that he really kind of looks like if someone crossed Christopher Walken with Judge Frollo. And he's a hunter, and he did say that his biggest motivation to do all this of the hunt is mostly because of the thrill and the pride that give him from killing the Night Furies. Because he said that ever since he killed his first Night Fury, he feels the lust of power and of being recognized, and so he decides to eliminate them all because that's gonna make him feel very powerful. I don't think that this is a weak motivation. It's actually very strong. It makes him a very despicable person, and you know what? I know that in the real world you can find people like that they just get a taste of something, and like for example poaching. They get a taste of poaching and they feel like they can't stop because of the satisfaction of the pride of being recognized as a hero that it gives. Even monetary it could bring out. And of course Hiccup did say that he's being a hypocrite because he's still using some dragons that can spit acid. But he just said that, well, but the difference is that they are under my control because he knows how to use a serum that makes them follow all their commands. So in a way, he is delightfully despicable, and I'm glad that we get villains like that. It's not that I am not against three-dimensional villains, but sometimes even the one-dimensional villains, they do exist, and I defend that. But if there's some of the moments that I will say that which one is the heart of the whole movie is the relationship between Toothless and the Light Fury. If anyone from How to Train Your Dragon cast is watching this or something like that, I wanna please know if this Light Fury has an official name, because the movie didn't bother to name her. But my, that this Like Fury is so adorable, and her relationship with Toothless is really, really adorable. And considering the relationship between Toothless and the Like Fury, you know what does it reminds me? Another cute couple that comes from the same designs from Chris Sanders. Another is none other than Stitch, and of course, Angel. Uh, For those who doesn't know, the TV series introduced Angel, kind of like a Stitch pink counterpart, and their relationship is kind of like boyfriend girlfriend. Okay, they are, and the relationship and the coupling of Stitch and Angel is now a little bit of a cult following that I follow, and I agree because both of them are cute. That kind of what I mean. I don't know. That came into my head with when I see Toothless and the Light Fury, especially because here's a I if many people know that most of the designs are based on Chris Sanders designs. You may notice that Toothless really looks like Stitch, mostly on his eyes and a little bit the shape of his snout, and he has a little bit of a nose that kind of looks on of how he designed noses. I and his his cat behavior is so adorable that man, that you know what, Mom, or anyone, if you can hear me, I don't care. I may have a bias against snakes, but I want dragons. I want dragons I really want a dragon. And speaking of Stitch again, here's the funny thing. The funny thing is that when I went to this event with the directors to watch How to Train Your Dragon on a big screen in Vancouver, the art director were asking questions. Were responding to questions. I didn't have a chance, and I didn't know what to say. My big question is that I just asked him, don't you think that Toothless kind of looks like Stitch? What was the... I mean, if not, then what was his inspiration? They told me that the design of Toothless was mostly inspired by making a panther to make him look like cat and all this stuff. But at the end of the response, they did add up saying that, oh yeah, he does kind of look like Stitch too. One of the most admirable traits about the How to Train Your Dragon series is that the more you watch the series, you can see the characters progressively grow up. They do begin to have, especially in the character of Hiccup. He just kind of started out like the runt of the whole village, and then he just grew up to being a dragon expert, and then he just became the chief. And then after becoming the chief, now he has to deal with what the biggest theme of this movie has, which is going to new directions. What I like about this movie is that it proves that, yeah, well, I'm one of these guys who don't like many cartoons to change, drastically for bullshit reasons, unlike a show that I don't want to name. What I like is that at least they do have a justification to make that change in this one, and you can see Hiccup trying to deal with trying to find a solution for the greater good that might not be the best on his satisfaction. Like in this case, he's aware that the things that he's doing might bring not only danger to the village but also to the dragons and his best friend. It kind of feels like he wants to grow. He has grown a little bit dependent on Toothless, but the problem is that he also doesn't realize that there are other kinds of strengths within him. This is why the love theme of Toothless and the Light Fury, it also comes off as a realization for Hiccup that it is now time for him to tie the knots with Astrid. And I follow. I really follow that love story, but also this tale of friendship between a man and a dragon. I'm not gonna reveal exactly a lot of what happens next, but we do have a good climax, I'll say, and it does wrap up the kind of like the whole series. And so much that even the end credits we get footage of the first 3 films. Although I wish that they could have added footage from the TV series too, because I still consider the TV series canon. Because there's some elements that the TV series has that doesn't show that the movies doesn't have. Again, we get to share more screen time with the other characters. That we get to know the other characters better, and also I gotta admit also that the first 2 seasons they did add a villain that is kind of like the main villain from the books, from what I read from the Wikipedia pages, and they added to the TV series. But let's say that the ending is not exactly bittersweet. It's actually very hopeful and very and it shows that sometimes you don't need to change for the worse, and in which everything's not gonna be exactly the same. I mean, it's gonna be the same, but it's gonna be a little bit different, but an understandably coherent difference. So this is why the ending kind of makes me really, really happy and makes me feel satisfied. One of the few franchises that it made me satisfied to see the ending. It's not normal. It's, usually when a series ends, it kind of feels a little bit, sad, because you know that there's not going to be any more adventures about that. This is why I usually really like when endings of series are kind of open-minded to let the fans have their imagination open for more adventures, to create their more adventure. Let's give them the elements to create their own adventure with their same characters. Or I don't care if they don't have to grow up. They can grow up a little. They can not grow up. Let them have their new adventure. Let the fans play with their toys. You just only give them the tools. Although in this one, well, kind of doesn't do much about it. It's still satisfying. I just feel like that. And honestly, I'm glad that we ended up at least happily with the How to Train Your Dragon series. I know that the director is now going to concentrate on live action. I don't know what he's going to do after this. But I feel kind of sad that that this is another entry of a great dragon series. And by the way, no, I'm not gonna watch Game of Thrones. I'm not into it, and besides, the dragons over there are very secondary in Game of Thrones. So anyway, thank you very much for watching my own opinion of how I am so different from all of you, in which I will not say this movie's okay. I kind of refuse to say it. I just love the franchise. I've loved it as I watched this film. So anyway, to all my dragon friends, we want to say thank you. Thank you for teaching us how to train our beloved dragons. Oh, I forgot to show you. There it is. There's the poster I got from Vancouver. Signed by the art director of the first How to Train Your Dragon. Still one of my favorite posters.